What's up, everybody? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover murder, mystery to the missing. Real quick before we get started, if you can hear me okay, please put a 1 in the chat. Make sure you guys can hear me okay. I'll turn this up a little bit. And for those that are new to the channel, before we get started, we always like to give back by featuring recently missing people. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. And then we'll get on to Bryan Kohberger, which is a case I haven't covered for a while. And then I'll talk about some of the stuff that I did with this latest trip as well. All right, perfect. You guys can hear me okay? Good deal. All right, good to see everybody. Thank you to the mods and to the members and just everybody. You guys are so awesome. So we'll get going here. Let me see. So this is Rihanna Washington, and I'll pull up her picture here in a minute, but she went missing May 21st. So yesterday, late last night, I believe. I'm trying to look at the time somewhere in here, but she's 15 years old, wearing an orange jacket, gray pants, 4'11", 140 pounds. I guess she does suffer from some kind of mood disorder. And she has gone missing before. I think she's ran away. It says 42 times in the past. That poor thing. This is out of, where do we got it at? Oh, Memphis, Tennessee. I was going to say, where is that? So this is a picture of Rihanna, just 15 years old, missing out of Memphis, Tennessee. Anybody out in that area, please keep a lookout for 15-year-old Rihanna Washington. Just went missing. And we'll go ahead and we got one more. This is Scott Komarek. His last confirmed location was out of Phoenix City Hall on the 3rd of this month. But he was previously seen in Queen Creek. He has a high functioning autism and will likely stay quiet, keep to himself, and walk a lot. He left his apartment, car, belongings in Las Vegas during a suspected mental health crisis. If you have any information, Scott is 31 years old, 150 pounds, 6 foot tall, so he's a tall guy, brown hair, brown eyes, and missing out of Phoenix, Arizona. So if you have any information, you can call 602-732-0081. All right. Okay. So yes, before we get started, today we'll be covering the Bryan Kohberger case and the updates with the latest court hearing. And then I haven't covered this particular case in a while, so I'll do a little recap on everything, and then we'll kind of pick a little bit of information that's been released in the last couple months and recently as well. And then for me, I just got back from 2 trips. First one obviously was in Texas, working on the 40-year-old cold case at the beginning of May, and then I took about a week off, and then I just got back from Nevada looking for Aidan Clune, and so I am very tired. I suffered a little heat exhaustion yesterday, but I feel so much better today. But I just really appreciate you guys. I would not be able to go out and help the missing if it wasn't for you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this channel and support and donate. You guys are so awesome. And so I've got a lot of work to do after the show because I'm still getting all the drone footage I took from the Aidan Clune case, and I've got to send it to some people so they can check. But I will be doing a video on Aidan Clune. I'll definitely have some stuff for the members. I don't know if I'll have a regular show for the non-members, just because YouTube's kind of not pushing anything that's not like recently related to high-profile cases. So that's kind of a tough situation there, but we'll see what we can do. So I will go ahead and I'll kind of check the chat, but I'm going to start this video up. This is I'm sure most of you guys know this case. But I'll play a short little recap. It's the PCA, and I broke it down into video form, and it's just like a brief timeline of what happened that evening.
What's up, mob crew? Today's video.
Let me see. Let me jump forward a little bit. Okay.
2 a.m. the 8458
Let me know how the volume is. Let me know if it's too loud or too soft. I think if anything, it might be too loud.
phone was utilizing cell resources that provide coverage to 1630 Northeast Valley Road of Pullman, Washington, hereafter known as the Kohberger residence. At approximately 2:47 a.m., the phone cell resources that provide coverage southeast of Kohberger residence consisted with the phone leaving the Kohberger residence and traveling south through Pullman, Washington. This is consistent with the movement of the White Elantra. At approximately 2:47 a.m., the phone stops reporting to the network, which is consistent with the phone either being in an area without cellular coverage or the connection to the network is disabled, such as putting the phone in airplane mode, or that the phone is turned off. On the evening of November 12, 2022, Ethan and Xana are seen by Bethany at the Sigma Chi house on University of Idaho campus at 735 Drive from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th. Bethany also estimates that at approximately 1:45, Ethan and Xana returned to the King Road residence. Bethany also stated that Chapman did not live in the King Road residence, but was a guest of Xana's. Kaylee and Maddie were at the local bar, the Corner Club at 202 North Main Street in Moscow. Kaylee and Maddie can be seen on footage provided by the Corner Club between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie can be seen on video at the local food vendor called The Grub Truck at 318 South Main Street in downtown Moscow. A private party reported that he provided a ride to Kaylee and Maddie at approximately 1:56 a.m. from downtown Moscow in front of the Grub Truck to the King Road residence. Dylan and Bethany both made statements during the interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were at home by 2 a.m. and asleep or at least in their rooms by approximately 4 a.m. Now moving over to the camera footage that was seen of the suspect vehicle. A review of the camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound on 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. On this video, it appeared suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate. A review of the footage from multiple videos obtained from King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. These sightings showed suspect 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leaves via Latah Drive. Upon review of the video, there was only a few cars that entered and exit during this time. Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 King Road, number 52, and then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. During the interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were at home by 2 a.m. and asleep or at least in their rooms by approximately 4 a.m. This is with the exception of Xana, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash delivery driver who reported this information. Dylan stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the 2nd floor. Dylan stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she said sounded like Kaylee playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the 3rd floor. A short time later, Dylan said she heard who she thought was Kaylee saying something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of the records obtained from forensic download of Xana's phone showed this could also have been Xana, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. Dylan stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. Dylan stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Xana's room.
So I'm going to pause it here. It's almost over, but I just wanted to recap. I know most of you guys know this already, but one of the things, and I'm sure most of you guys, or at least some of you guys would agree, in my opinion, I think obviously Kaylee and Maddie would have been attacked first, and I think that was one of those two were the target, and then he was going to leave, but I think Xana, with her DoorDash order, was either probably finishing up eating and maybe was walking, and either obviously she was on TikTok just before that as well, and so I think she had her phone in her hand, and she just happened to be either walking from the bedroom to the kitchen or vice versa, but was some way in between the hallway and either in the hallway or front room while allegedly Kohberger, came down the stairs, and I think seeing somebody with a phone in their hand, that would have definitely obviously we'd have to take out that threat, worried that she might have been calling 911 even though she was just on TikTok and probably had no idea what was going on. And that would make so much sense for him to, if that was him saying, "It's okay, I'm here to help you." And I could see him saying that as she's like trying to run away from him towards the bedroom where Ethan is sleeping. That's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the chat and comments. But that's what I think, in my opinion, happened in that, is that the ladies upstairs were sadly the target, and Ethan and Xana were the collateral damage just because Xana was just kind of wandering around. But that's my opinion on that.
Dylan then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:17, a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices of a whimper followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times, starting at 4:17 a.m. Dylan stated she opened her door for a third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. Dylan described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past Dylan as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. Dylan locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Dylan did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. King Road. Suspect Vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area of King Road residence at approximately 4:20 at a high rate of speed. Suspect Vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Walenta Drive. I believe that Suspect Vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive and Constanoga Drive. The phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it is utilized cell resources that provide coverage to ID State Highway 95 south of Moscow, Idaho, near Blaine, Idaho.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. Of course, then he kicks back on a cell phone and then is tracked traveling south of Idaho, heads back into Washington, and then heads up north back into Pullman, Washington, and is home by 5:30 a.m. And then, of course, later that day at around 9 a.m., he would actually be tracked going right back to the residence, which I think, in my opinion, it's one thing, to turn off your phone for a couple of hours, and that just happens to be when a quadruple homicide happens. But the fact that you drive back over to an area where that homicide happen. Yeah, it doesn't look good in my opinion. So that's just a little bit of a recap on that. So let me close this here. And let's see. Let's jump into today's court trial. I have the full thing, but I sped it up and just broke it down into just the main parts of today's trial. I think most of you probably already seen it and saw a bunch of people react to it. I'll just kind of go through it just a little bit, but let's see, that's not it here. So let me just grab my cheat sheet here. So, of course, then Bryan would be eventually arrested towards the end of the year. And then he is now charged with 4 counts of first-degree homicide. I have to say that word. And burglary. And now he had a hearing earlier today where he stood silent. So we'll go ahead and play that. Like I said, it's kind of fast forward. I think it's like originally 8 minutes. I've got it down to 4 minutes. I've seen a lot of people like kind of break this down. There is some kind of smirks he does, which I find distasteful.
Your name there, is that your correctly spelled complete name?
Yes, it is.
Is that the correct birth date underneath your name?
Yes.
Let me know if that's too loud for
Are
you
those
guys.
the correct last 4 digits of your social security number?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to read you the charges on the indictment, starting with count 1, burglary. That is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-1401 and 1403. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder. Count 2, murder in the first degree. That was a felony under Idaho Code Section. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died. Count 3, murder in the first degree, a felony under Idaho Code Section 8. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Kayla Gonzalez, a human being, by stabbing Kayla Gonzalez, from which she died. Count 4, murder in the first degree. That's a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-40, alleging that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Zayna Kernodle, excuse me. This is hard, I'm sorry. Zayna Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing.
Now, I mess up all the time, but I think, when you're a judge and you got the family members in the courtroom, I think you should, know the names. And that's hard for me to say because, we're human, we make mistakes. But I think in this situation, I feel bad. I feel bad for everybody, even the judge. I mean, we're human, we make mistakes. But I think that's something you might want to practice before, saying those charges. Clearly, he's nervous.
Zayna Kernodle, from which she died. Count 5, murder in the first degree. This is a felony under. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing Ethan Chapin, from which he died. This is signed on May 16, 2023 by the presiding grand jury. So now I'm going to go to the maximum penalties of each charge, starting with count 1, burglary, minimum 1 year, up to 10 years in imprisonment, fine of up to $50,000.
Okay, I'm going to skip this a little bit. He's just reading out the the time served, or how much the time you would receive, and the fines, and then he's going to ask for the plea. So I'll skip it just a little bit to about here.
Resulting from the crime. Okay, Mr. Kohberger, do you understand the charge in count 1, burglary?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 2, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 3, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 4, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 5, murder in the
Yes.
first degree? Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, is Mr. Kohberger prepared to plead to these charges?
Your Honor, we will be standing silent.
Okay, because Mr. Kohberger is standing silent, I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on each charge, counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, at this juncture, the state has 60 days to give notice of intention to seek the death penalty, and Mr. Kohberger has a constitutional and statutory right to a speedy trial. So let's start with you, Ms. Taylor, and then Mr. Thompson to discuss.
Okay, so that's the shortened down version. Yeah, there's a lot of people picking out little different things. Notice he picked up the charge paperwork in front of him when Maddie was read, then put it down afterwards for the rest of them. Yeah, and I also saw somebody say, like, with all the women, he had, like, his jaw was doing something, and then when they read Ethan, they said it seemed like he had a little actual guilt, but I don't know. To me, it looks all the same. To me, it looks, I don't know. It looks totally no remorse, in my opinion. There was somebody that had a good question about the Dateline, because I know the Dateline episode got a lot of flack. So Dateline, if you don't know what I'm talking about, they did an original episode. I don't know when it aired, but obviously it was after they caught Bryan Kohberger. And the first episode, I haven't seen it for a long time. It was pretty good. But a lot of people are not happy with the recent episode because with the gag order going on, they feel like because they did address, let's see, how should I put this? They suppose they had some sources that dug up some certain circumstances, and I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to be a part of that. But people are not happy because they feel like that could taint the fair trial. And so yeah, I would say I'm not happy about it. But yeah, they had it mainly kind of focuses on how they kind of compare him and Dennis Rader, and it kind of follows that. But it is interesting that Dennis Rader as well did stand silent. But he would eventually have obviously plead guilty. At that time, Kansas, I think by the time he was done with all of his homicides, he couldn't be charged with the penalty, death. I think I can say death penalty. He couldn't be charged with the death penalty, I guess, because he finished all his homicides before they reenacted it or something like that. So obviously he's got, multiple life sentences or something like that. But he also did the same thing. So I guess in some ways it's like pleading the fifth, and you stand silent. Some people I've seen a couple people say online, and I'll pull it up here. I don't know if this is true or not, and let me know if anybody knows in the chat. One person said this is a tactic used, so by standing mute, you avoid silently admitting to the correctness of the proceedings against you until that point. You are then free to attack all previous proceedings that may have been irregular. And I guess that would make sense if that is true, but I am certainly no lawyer, and I don't know the laws about that. But if that's true, that totally makes sense. So, but interesting. So, Yes, yes. So the prosecution now has 60 days to file, the death penalty, which I can't see why not they wouldn't do that. And then his court hearing, his official court date set at October 2nd at 8:30 a.m. So he didn't. He's gonna have a speedy trial. It's kind of crazy because we had the Delphi case break open late last year, and then this case happened after that, and it's crazy that the court is we're gonna be going to trial with this case way before we do with Richard Allen. So I've got some other things. So Jilly says it just means you plead not guilty. Yeah, for some of it, what I've looked at is it's just really you're just pleading the fifth. But I have seen some things, and I think it's just state to state, where what this says right here is true, but I think it's like depends on the state. But I'm just kind of speculating on that. That's not my expertise, but it would make sense if that was true. So moving on. All right, let's jump over to, let's look at the house here, and then I'm gonna, because like I said, I haven't covered this case for a while, so there's some things they had taken from his apartment, and we'd seen a little bit of it, but then they finally released more details about what they took from his apartment, as well as his home in or his parents' home in Pennsylvania. And I'll go through his background as well, but I just wanted to show a little picture of, and turn down the volume here. It's kind of eerie to see it like this. It's really sad. I'm glad they're demolishing this when it's all done. I can't see anybody wanting to live in this after what nightmares happened in here. But that's what it looks like now, all boarded up. It's really sad to see that. But let me see what you guys are saying in chat, and then I've got the video of him when he got pulled over, because I saw some people wondering about his nose. We can look at that here in a minute, and then we'll look at some of the stuff that was released in his that was taken from his apartment. Some of the things were tested, but I just wanted to go over his background just a little bit. I'm sure most of you guys know his background, but let's see what you guys are saying, because it's kind of going fast. I might need to slow this down just a tad here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Didn't watch either Datelines. The first one was good. The second one, a lot of people are upset because they feel like they could be contaminating the trial. And the judge, I guess, was kind of upset at the Associated Press as well, which if we had time, we'll look into that. Yeah, I'm so surprised we have to wait for Chad Vela over a year. Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought it was going to be later this year. I am so surprised. It's so weird that Chad, with Lori, she waived her right to a speedy trial, but it was vice versa on Chad. But yet Chad has to wait much longer, and Lori went first. It's so backwards. Jill says, when she said someone is here, could that be Kaylee talking about the DoorDash at the door? It could be. I mean, they say the DoorDash came at 4 a.m., like 4 on the dot. And usually DoorDash, if you haven't experienced DoorDash, all they do, they don't even knock. I guess you could put in the notes, like special notes, like knock on the door, but they're in a rush. They make their money by just getting orders, picking up orders, dropping them off, and going, So the faster they are, the more money they're going to make. So really all DoorDash is you order your food, it kind of gives you an idea who your DoorDasher is. You can add some special instructions like drop it off in the back, drop it off at the front door. And I guess you could say, hey, knock on the door. But really, other than that, all they do is they'll drop it on the right in front of the door or wherever you want it. They'll take a picture of it so it proves that they dropped it off at your residence, and then they're gone because they've already been paid. They already got their tip. And so, and unless you would put in the special notes, knock on the door, I mean, yeah, I guess they could hear a car pulling up. So I guess, I mean, it's possible for sure. And Pickle Toe's grandma, I love that name. Well, he can't claim he's mentally ill because he understands all the charges. That's so true. Cam says, don't think he acted alone. I personally do. Vehicle 1 and Vehicle 2, or did they say 2 or 3 or more? I just remember Vehicle 1 in the PC. Been a while since I've looked at that. I think there was just Vehicle 1, Cam. I could be wrong. I know there's no more than 2, but I think there was just 1. Okay, let's go on. So just quick background on Kohberger. So I think he grew up in Pennsylvania. Went to high school at Pleasant Valley, Pennsylvania. Was quiet to himself. He was into books. Actually, a lot of people said he was really sweet but really quiet. And didn't recall him getting bullied. Then it says some did see him actually get bullied, so that's kind of weird. Said you don't remember? Okay, never mind now. So don't believe he was bullied, but he could have been. That's right, because he started gaining weight towards the later years. So maybe when he gained weight, he started getting bullied, and then he suffered, an H addiction, which is this here. And then he started getting on track. He got his psychology degree at a community college in Pennsylvania. And then he started getting his master's degree in criminal justice at DeSales University. And I think that was mainly online. He got his bachelor's in 2020. And then June 2022, he got his master's degree in criminal justice. Then something that we're going to look at towards the end of the show, which I think is kind of interesting, is these. So he did a little post on Reddit where he wanted to have ex-convicts participate in a study, and he asked a bunch of questions about how they felt, what they did, what did they do when they were committing the crime, how did they feel, how did they get away, all these different questions. And we're going to look at that and compare that to Papa Rogers, because I see some people talking about Papa Rogers. I don't know if Papa Rogers is Kohberger, but there is some real strange coincidences, especially now looking at it closer. And then he was getting his PhD in criminology at Washington State University. So that's when he moved from Pennsylvania to Pullman, Washington. And then from there, they feel like somehow he has gotten in contact with one of the girls, if not a few of them. There are supposed social media accounts that he had that were supposedly following 3 of the female victims. I have seen a picture of at least one that he's following. I've never seen any messages, but that is a rumor. I'm not going to talk about the Mad Greek thing. And so we'll leave that there. Okay, so let's move on to what they took from his apartment. Because some of this stuff is a little bit newer. Let me take a sip of Coke here. Yeah, I don't know how long he was chunky for. Maybe he could have been chunkier earlier on too. I'm not sure. I think he started getting chunkier, and then definitely obviously lost weight from the H. But maybe he could have been chunky in his earlier years. He can waive speedy trial later. Oh, that's true. The defense says they're having issues getting things from the state, and that's always the case. It always seems like that. Speedy trial may be to get the state to move. Interesting. Thank you, Debbie, for the $5 and supporting this channel. It really helps, especially at a time like now, because we just got back from 2 trips where we spent a lot of money trying to help the missing. So I really appreciate that, Debbie. Thank you so much. But yeah, I really wonder if in a speedy trial, I would think that would really favor the prosecution more than the defense, but I could be wrong. So here are some of the things that they recovered from the Pennsylvania property. Now, so after the homicides happened, he would eventually leave on a road trip. His dad would fly out to Pullman, Washington, and then those two would drive from Washington all the way to Pennsylvania. And of course, they would get pulled over twice. And I'm sure most of you guys have seen that footage. They would eventually raid this house, which is his parents' house. And we can see the date when they did that. That's on 12/30. And the things to highlight is towards the end where he's got these Under Armour. He's got black large shorts. That's either shorts or shirts. It looks like shorts. Black boxers. A pair of black Under Armour socks. So everything black. Champion Washington State University large black sweatshirt. The only thing that's not black is this white Arizona jean large t-shirt or something like that. Then 4 medical style gloves. Apparently neighbors had seen him throwing stuff away wearing gloves. But that's interesting that he's got all these black items or black clothing. And now if we go over to his apartment that was searched as well, and that's on this right side here. Towards the bottom is some of the more interesting things. So black hat, black mask, and if we remember, Dylan recalled somebody in basically all black with a black mask, black gloves, black face mask. It's kind of hard to see. He did have a Glock as well, a Smith & Wesson. Oh, wait, no, that's the Smith & Wesson pocket knife. He had a Glock Gen 5, Glock 22 Gen 5, 40 caliber. And what else is in there? That was interesting. Green leafy substance in plastic bag. I have no idea. I don't know if that's weed or what. Cell phone cable. But I think what's interesting is the black mask, black gloves. And then, with the parents' house, with the black shorts, boxers, shoes. And this is also interesting. We do get to see what kind of size shoe he wears. So clearly he is a tall guy. Looks like he wears size 13, which is interesting because they did have those footprints that were discovered through the house at the Idaho residence. And so moving on, let me go over this way here. And let me see what's going on in chat. Oh, interesting. Black clothes is kind of the normal for Washington State. Now, I'd agree. I have a lot of clothing that's probably black, but I think when you get to the black mask, gloves usually either come black or blue, but, black mask, then, I in my opinion, that don't look good. But I can definitely understand that. Black goes good with everything. And I remember Bryan during arrest wanted to quickly clear his name. Speedy trial makes sense. Yes. Is there any DNA that proves? So there is so far that we know of. So we always got to remember that the probable cause affidavit will never give us all the details. And especially with the gag order in place, there's probably tons of items that, that they have recovered. Apparently, gosh, I had the number. There is The state turned over to the defense, I think it was 22,000 items. So that's, court documents, photos, videos, whatever. I mean, that's a mix of everything. I mean, that sounds like a big number, but I don't know. It sounds a little higher than usual. But that's apparently all the pieces of evidence that they've sent over. Okay, so let's go to... So if you guys remember, they pulled a lot of items from his apartment that had supposedly brown or dark red spots that they suspected were blood. A lot of them came back as negative. So as we see on the right here, these are kind of the different things. I'm not going to read all these off, but they collected a lot of different items from his apartment. And as we can see, it's got positive, negative. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah, I'm not blocking it. So obviously positive would be good, as in that's blood. Negative means it's not blood. So all these items here on this, at least in this one here, are nothing. But that mattress cover, if you guys remember, he had a mattress cover along with some pillow covers that had that reddish brown spot on it. And apparently this mattress cover came back positive. Now this is an initial test, so apparently they have to do more rigorous testing. This is the initial stages of it, and they have to do, but it has come back as positive as possibly being human blood. Now it just depends, is it Bryan Kohberger's or could it be one of the victims? I'm sure that'll take longer, but there is the mattress cover here, and I think I've got the other one. Let me get to the chat real quick though. Got alive, been sick past week. Oh no, a little something to build your travel bag back up. Thanks for all you do. Thank you so much, Camilla. It really helps. You are so awesome. Yes, because we will, once I get rested, we've got some plans for helping out other people as well. Yeah, Howie Mandel. Oh, I love him. Yeah, he does. He is a big germaphobe. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sweet Dreams, for the $2 super sticker. You are so awesome. So the other thing that came back positive was the uncased pillow. So it's the mattress cover and the uncased pillow that came back as positive. Oh, and I'm in the way here. Let me move this over. There we go. So 2 items that we know of that came back as positive with blood. We just don't know whose blood. Interesting. You didn't. Strange thing. I've seen in other chats the Papa Rogers avatar in those chats. Very eerie. Yeah, we're going to talk about Papa Rogers. I haven't talked about Papa Rogers on this channel, but I'm going to, because there's some people did some side-by-sides with his thing he did with DeSales, excuse me, or his participation for the ex-convict, his questionnaire compared to what was the comments in Papa Rogers. Oh my gosh, they're eerily similar. The way they're written. Okay, but we'll get there in just a minute. So here's the Hyundai Elantra, and I do have that video that was taken. So this video, if you guys haven't seen it, this was taken literally 1 month before the homicide. And this is him apparently running, well, not running a red light, but he was basically blocking traffic and everything. And we'll watch that video. I cut it down to it so it's short, but so we did get the items of what they took from his car. Now, obviously, once they take everything out, then they're going to test it. I'm sure that'll take a while. I'm sure maybe that some of that stuff's been done, but we won't know about it until probably trial. Because if he is the alleged killer, then, and let's say he was, I would assume, covered in blood, or at least had some kind of blood transferred to him, and it got into the car, even if he tried to clean it up, speaking with Steve from True Crime Web. He says it's really hard to get blood out of the car, even if you try to clean it up. And they will, if it's there, they will find it. But these are just regular items that they pulled out of the car. Most of it's just, quarters, money, registration, normal stuff. The one thing I thought was interesting is they did, and it could be nothing, but I thought it was interesting they found a Band-Aid. Just because, there was always kind of some rumors that he could have been injured, and it wouldn't surprise me just because attacking 4 people. Now, 3 of the people were probably defenseless just because they were in bed, but it sounds like Xana put up a fight. So hopefully she scratched the living daylights out of him, and hopefully there's some evidence that's transferred, but it's really hard to tell if this is a shadow or not. There's tons of circles. I think most of these are shadows. I think the thing on the arm could possibly be, because it seems like he tried to pull up his sleeve in this video. But I thought it was interesting that there was a Band-Aid, because I do have a first aid kit, like a whole first aid kit in my backpack car, but usually don't have Band-Aids laying around in the car. But that's just me. I'd get it if you had kids, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. Yes, he does. We'll watch that here in just a bit. Some people said he can be charming. So here we'll talk about this, and then we'll get over to that video. Actually, let's watch the video, and then we'll get into this, because I want to pull up something along with that. So let's look at, if you guys haven't seen this. This is him getting pulled over. I have a shortened version of it. Let me turn up the... Oh, his stare, though, like, it creeps me out. I'm not going to lie. He's already got that stare. It's creepy.
Hello, I am Officer Langus. Stops being audio and video recorded. I think you know why I stopped you. You ran the red light.
What actually happened was I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
So
I was behind you the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically you're not supposed to enter the intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you run the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Yep.
Do you have the registration and insurance?
We just get this from the out.
You what?
I'm just gonna get this out for you.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So would you explain that to me a little bit further? So in Pennsylvania, when you're stuck in the intersection, you have to make the left. So what would the appropriate thing for me to have done?
Not-
Just
You're
back
not
up
supposed
the
to
situation.
block an
Oh.
intersection like that in Washington, so just by you blocking the intersection, that's technically a ticketable violation, and then then you're running a red light, so it's another ticketable offense. So you're not supposed to proceed into the intersection until you can go, because a lot of people do what you just did, right? Is like you're sitting in the intersection waiting, and then it turns, and then you're blocking, so.
Yeah, there was a little bit of confusion with the speeding because someone had stopped. I wasn't sure what they were doing, and then they put on their light to turn. So I thought that maybe they were letting me go through.
Oh.
Did you see that?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, like right before I made the turn, there was someone who made a right. They didn't have their...
Yeah, he's not totally looking straight on. I'm sure there's probably a part, but I can tell it's still got that curvature on his nose, if you guys were just wondering.
their signal on, so I wasn't sure if they were just waiting.
Yeah, so I just advise
Oh, my head's blocking
just
all
don't
my
enter the
back.
intersection until you can go, so you don't get stuck. Let's see.
But in that situation, the best thing to do then would be back up. And not...
I don't know if there's a best thing to do in that situation, because you're either going to back up into somebody,
Yeah.
or you're going to run a red light. So, or you're going to be sitting in an intersection. There's not really a great option there.
Yeah, I was just slightly into the crosswalk, so... Yeah, we're from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have like crosswalks.
Oh,
so even if you kind of slightly... Yeah, there's a little bit more leeway as well. Like there are a few lines, like there's one white line and there's another one. Like there's like a certain margin from which you can actually kind of put your vehicle, place your vehicle.
Yeah, so I know laws vary state to state, but there is a law in Washington for blocking an intersection like that, proceeding through when when you're just stalling. I forget the actual verbiage, I can find it for you, but it's like stalling, blocking an intersection.
Yeah. I'm just curious about the law. I don't mean to...
Oh no, yeah, I can find it for
this
you.
with it.
Yeah. 1 second. That looks on a Hyundai.
And it's hard because he never actually like faces straight forward, so you can't really tell 100%.
I don't see Pennsylvania registration like at all. Okay, let's see. Expires November 22nd, or 2022. Okay. And
Yeah, one of those is actually.
yeah, okay, that looks good. I'll hand that back to you. I'm just gonna go check your info. I'll try to find that RCW, the law for you, and I'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, we'll discuss Papa Rogers after this video, and I'll let you guys decide. And I don't think it's been decided one way or the other. I mean, I think it's still speculation. I do know that there's been some copycat accounts that have been made since then, and I think people have done that to try to prove, oh, it wasn't Bryan Kohberger. I don't know if that's the case, but I do know from what I've seen is there's been some copycat accounts made.
Sierra 331, code 4 driver. Go ahead. For Georgia form.
Skip this. It's kind of interesting. It's got all the violation codes and then how much they cost and stuff. Looks like most of this is $139 fine. Seems to be the basic. There's some heavier ones, $422. But anyway.
Okay, so I found it. So I don't know what in Pennsylvania where you go to find laws, but in Washington it's called the Revised Code of Washington. So I'll try to turn my brightness up, but it's just called an RCW. So it's RCW 46.61.202. So it's no driver shall enter an intersection unless there is significant space on the other side of the intersection. To accommodate the vehicle, he is operating without obstructing the passage of other vehicles, despite any traffic control signal indications to proceed. So you had a green light. So you're thinking you can go, but you're blocking the intersection. Yeah. So that's, if you're ever curious in any laws in Washington, just Revised Code of Washington. So I'm not writing a ticket or anything like that today. I understand you're from Pennsylvania, but in the future, don't proceed through the intersection. You can't get stopped for that alone, unless you can clearly just clear it right away.
Okay.
So
That basically, I understand.
You're just supposed to wait behind the white line. Drivers do it all the time, but
it never even occurred to me that was actually something wrong.
I don't know. It's so weird, though. It does kind of look like it's normal. If you guys are wondering what I'm talking about his nose, it does kind of seem normal, but
yeah.
He's not turned all the way straight on, so you can't really...
Well, except for the fact that I was blocking the crosswalk, which is...
Yeah, and states vary a lot from laws. Like Pennsylvania might not even have that law, but in Washington we do.
I'm actually just from a very rural area, so we just don't have crosswalks.
Oh.
Unless I visit an area where there are crosswalks, and then it's not very frequent.
Yeah.
I do apologize if I was asking you too many questions about the law. I wasn't trying to
No, not at all. Like I understand you're not from here, so if you don't, a lot of people don't know a bunch of laws. Like I only know it because this is what I do. But yeah, if you're ever curious on any more laws, just RCW, and they can be hard to read because it's in like legal language. But hope that helps.
Definitely.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Definitely, you too.
Thanks.
Yeah, that sucks. It's like the entire time he's almost not quite have his head fully straight on to give it 100% opinion on that. Let me go back up here real quick. AJ, I absolutely adore your work, Chris. What a day. Thank you so much, AJ. Yeah, I know a lot of people have been covering this, and I haven't covered this case for a while, so I thought I'd kind of do it just to catch up on stuff. Candace Soto, BK thinks he is the smartest guy in the room. Cop just wasn't in the mood to argue, ticket him. Yeah, he definitely has that kind of arrogance to him. Yeah, Karen, if you ever have the time, again, just let me know. But I understand, you got to work and do your thing. But I really appreciate you when you did help me, of course. And anytime, email me. But I know I usually go live later than you have time for. But that's interesting. You did DoorDash. But yeah, most people just you just take the picture and drop the food off. Let's see. There was somebody I want to Okay, so let's look at Papa Rogers real quick here, and I'll explain what's going on with this thing. So Bryan Kohberger, when he was working at DeSales University, when he was studying at DeSales University, he did this questionnaire for ex-convicts to answer. And it's just weird that, so I don't know when Papa Rogers first popped up. This is a Facebook account, and it's called Papa Rogers. And I've got to get this little guy. I think I forgot to get this picture here. It's a little weird because it does look like him kind of a little bit from the side. It's not a picture of him, though. But anyway, there was just some interesting posts by this Papa Rogers. And so as you can see, this is November 30th, and this is what got people's attention. So this is a Facebook group, University of Idaho Murders case discussion. Now this is before we knew who Bryan K was. They were still looking, and we didn't know really anything about, especially we knew that a knife was used, but we had no idea about a sheath or anything. And so this guy, Papa Roger, comes out and says, in this group discussion of the evidence released, the murder weapon has been consistent as a large fixed blade knife, which was released to the media. This leads me to believe they found the sheath, which is crazy. Either this guy's just really good at guessing, but we had no idea about the sheath at that time. This evidence was released prior to the autopsies, which I don't know. This evidence release was prior to the autopsies. I'm assuming he's talking about the fixed blade knife, but we never heard about the sheath, unless he actually meant that and didn't realize they had never mentioned the sheath, which would really, then I would say that is him. Then there's this one. I'm sorry, you guys probably can't read it. I have never seen this one, but this one's really interesting. But I will match up the questionnaires to some of Papa Rogers' comments. And like I said, I don't know 100%, but there are some really interesting similarities. But this one, I can't tell when it's posted, but this one is, there are many theories in this case, and we are all just guessing. Now, of course, this is still before we knew who it was. But it goes on to say, but I can't come up with a theory as to why they were in the same bed. Now, that is crazy. I don't think we knew that they were in the same bed at that point. I think we knew that they were in the same room, but I don't think it was mentioned that they were in the same bed. I could be wrong on this part, but I don't think it was mentioned that they were in the same bed. They heard an argument on the second floor and were scared. Upon hearing the argument, they started calling the ex. That is wild, because now the ex, we knew about that, but I think that the part that they're in the same bed is really interesting. I just can't remember if that information about them being in the same bed. We knew that they were killed in the same room, but I don't think we knew that they were in the bed. So here are so what we got on the left is some statements by Papa Rogers, and we can see the date, December 8th. Now remember, they don't catch Bryan. The public has no idea who it is until December 30th? Something like that, December 31st, something like that, somewhere around in there, like right at the new year, just before the new year. And so on the right is his question, one of his many questions. So we'll start with this question that we know is from Bryan Kohberger, and it says, why did you choose that victim target over others? And here is some interesting statements by this Papa Rogers. Why did the killer choose that house over all the others in the area? And if you look at how it's worded, it's almost the same. Why did you choose that victim target over others? And here it's almost worded almost the same in just a different fashion. Why did the killer choose that house over others? I mean, a lot of the same words. It's really creepy. Why do we think is the entrance? I think it's supposed to be, what do we think is the entrance points? What do we think is the entrance point to the crime scene? And then here's another one that's really bizarre. So on the right and bottom we have how did you leave the scene? Before leaving, is there anything else you did? And then if we go to Papa Rogers, do we think the killer took anything from the house? How long do we think the killer was in the house? And here's the thing, how did you leave the scene? Before leaving, is there anything else you did? And at the top, do we think the killer took anything from the house? So it's a little eerie. I said we don't know. And then here's, I think I got one or two more. And on the left, we know is Bryan. How did you travel to and enter the location that the crime occurred? Did the killer drive, walk, or some combination of both to the scene? So, once again, how did you travel to and enter the location? And on the right, this Papa Roger says, did the killer drive, walk, or some combination of both? So just interesting. Like I said, I think the biggest weirdest one is how this one's almost worded almost exactly the same. I mean, it has some of the same words. I mean, we got choose, over, others. I mean, a lot of the same words. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I would lean a little bit more towards it being Bryan K. I don't know 100%. But it is weird. Oh, there is one more. On the left, why did you choose that victim or target over others? Regardless of what was been released, I believe this was, and I can't say this, motivated crime. And so it's kind of the same genre. Why did you choose that victim? And he's actually now stating kind of like, I believe this was motivated by a certain way. So kind of interesting. So there's that. Let me catch up on chat here. Yeah, it does. It really does. I'll see if I can get the picture of that to show you guys if you guys haven't seen that. And I saw somebody say I look a little darker. Yes, I definitely got some sun because I was out in the desert looking for Aiden Clune. I was helping his mother, Amy. She did a 7-day search. I was out there for 4 out of the 7 days. I had to come back to kind of rest and kind of take stuff off my, because all my memory cards were full. And so I had to kind of, and there's no service out where I was at. So I had 0 service. Latest Grace, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. You're so awesome. I listen to speculation, but not necessarily believe it as fact. Yeah, that's a good question, Michelle. Do we believe Bryan put Murphy in Kaylee's room? I guess it depends. I'd like to know if there was a dog cage. I believe if there was a dog cage, then I could really see just them putting them down. Because, I mean, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And, I mean, then again, I want to have the dog sleeping with me. So it is kind of weird. So I could see both ways. Because, I mean, honestly, I love animals. And usually they're sleeping with me. So, interesting. How do my ribs feel, Chris? They feel much better. Holy cow. They were sore for at least a month. But yeah, they're much better. Carolyn says, I missed everything, Chris. My goodness, you're fired. Can you repeat what you just said for the last half hour? No, but you can you can go back. I don't think people want to hear me repeat, but there's a lot of interesting stuff. Yes, I was a trooper. My car, oh god, my car, I still can't get all the bugs. So when you're driving, for long hours in the heat, in the desert, you're just hitting bugs. And my front end, it's literally just caked with bugs. Even after I done a couple of car wash with the scraper, it still got bugs on it. So anyway, let's finish up here. Let's see how long Oh gosh, okay, so I've been an hour. So we did the PC. We talked about the latest. Yeah, the Dateline thing did bring some new things to the table, but I don't want to talk about them because right now the judge is really mad that they released some stuff that could potentially, I don't know, jeopardize the trial, but it's certainly not helping the case when there's a strict gag order in place right now, and you have Dateline going to possible witnesses that could be used in the trial, the upcoming trial. And in Dateline, really kind of what they did is they kind of tried to compare Bryan Kohberger to the BTK killer. And I saw somebody in the comments, I was trying to get to it, but I missed it, saying that yes, BTK and BK are totally different. And I agree, they are. But they did both stand in silence, and so that is my thumbnail. But of course, Dennis Rader would actually plead guilty. And there was one more thing. Oh, Papa Rogers. Yeah, I wanted to pull that up for you if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, because that is kind of interesting to look at. See if I can pull it up this way here. Rogers. And so there has been posts from this Papa Rogers, but some people feel like it's a copycat account. Oh, here it is. That's perfect. That's perfect. Right there. Let me move it over a little bit so you guys can see it. So, obviously, now I've seen where this has been taken from, and I can't remember. I mean, obviously this is not actually Bryan Kohberger, but from afar, it does kind of look like him, just like an age progress. The nose is slightly different. He's kind of got like a kind of a more buckled in nose, but from afar, it does kind of look like him. Kind of similar jaw structure. Definitely the same kind of short hair. It is kind of creepy. I think this was really just, I don't know if it was picked at random or what. But yeah, there are some really strange things that this Papa Rogers had commented way before Bryan Kohberger was caught. And there's quite a few people that feel like this was Bryan Kohberger, kind of talking about the case in these Facebook groups. And especially you got somebody talking about a sheath that it's never been talked about before he was caught. And so that it's kind of odd. Elizabeth Kohler, thank you so much for the $5. And I'm gonna one thing I just want to say, I have not been able to email anybody. I am like a week behind because I've been out in the middle of the desert with no service. So I will start getting back with the emails. I've been trying to get all the drone data off my memory card so I can get that over to Amy and this other group to help her out. So I've got a lot to do still and running behind, but I will eventually get caught up. So no, you don't get a vacation. Let's see. Maybe Maddie didn't want the dog in bed. That's true. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, we have no idea. Not good Dateline. Yeah, they got a lot of heat. Got a lot of heat. That's for sure. Chris, so can you not give any update on Aiden Clune search? I will say this just real quick. With the Aiden Clune search, we did find some small leads, and I can't really talk specifics. The one thing I can mention is we did find where he camped one of the nights. We did find his campsite. I think the first night, we did find his campsite. We found some bottles of water that had California labels on them and some other things. And yeah, and then when it comes to drone, even though I did a bunch of drone flying around, and I'll just show you guys for if you're just kind of wondering the area and terrain when it comes to Aiden Clune, just real quick. This is the terrain we're working with, and it looks small on Google Earth, but then when you get there, it's pretty wild. But the last day that I was out there, we were focused on his last known footsteps, which were up here. So we were in this valley here, and it's steep. It's pretty rough terrain. But with the drone footage, that takes time to search and look at. So, and I need some special software to really pinpoint anomalies. So that'll take time. But we did find some things that are unusual. So it'll take some time to get all that data back. But it felt really good to be out there because she didn't have as many people she was hoping to have out there. So I'm really stoked. And she gave me this necklace, which is something that she's going to be doing. It's a guitar pick. It's stainless steel. And you can order these. I'll get some details and share it next time. But it's got Aiden, and it's for mental health and stuff like that. And I'll probably do a post about it. So it was really cool. So anyway, I think I'm going to end it there because like I said, I've got so much more to do. I've got to get caught up on my emails and all that good stuff. But I really appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll have some short videos coming out soon along with Aiden as well when I get everything put together. So I just want to say thank you so much to the mods, Jennifer, good to see you, Dee, Karen, Vickers, and I think I got everybody covered. Okay, yeah, I didn't miss anybody, and I appreciate all the donations. You guys are so awesome. So we'll be back to normal schedule Monday, Wednesday, Friday live shows at approximately 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, boy, I wish my apartment looked like that. No, that's just my detective background. So, all right, guys. I love you guys. I'll have a pet outro ready here, and we will see you guys on Wednesday. And then if you guys are following our latest cases, please go subscribe to Carolyn's channel, CM Struff. She's got Unearthed Secrets as the YouTube channel name. And, of course, so go over and subscribe to Steve from True Crime Web, my partner. So, love you guys. We'll see you guys soon.